Hello everyone, it's Calvary32 Special. Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully people don't mind the fishing content that's been coming out as of late. It is springtime here in California, and, well, late spring, getting the summer because it's after Memorial Day. So fishing is something that is for me target practicing at the outdoor range and fishing are two things I really like to do in the summer, as well as go camping. So I've been kind of inspired by the weather to do a lot of fishing videos. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see a picture of a striped bass, or striper, that I landed a while back. It was the same day that I actually did the review on the Lamiglas Rod. And the question was asked if I landed it on the ultra lightweight rod from Lamiglas Rod Co. The answer was no. I actually landed it on, then you're not going to be able to see the full length because it's a 9-foot rod. This is my, I use it for striper, but it's actually a salmon / steelhead, setup. It is a Lamiglas. Oops, knocked over something while I flipped it around. So you get for using a 9-foot rod in the house. Sorry, 8'6", my bad. And it's 8'6". It can take 12 to 25 pound line, and half ounce all the way up to 1.5 ounce lure. It is definitely a heavy rod but it has decent action at the end. The tip is fairly responsive so that you can tell when you're getting a hit. The striper that I caught was borderline legal. I was just doing catch and release that day, so I didn't even bother to measure it because it didn't matter if it was legal or not because it wasn't being kept. And at least my understanding of the law is you can't keep illegal fish, but you can't always control what size of fish actually hits your lure. So they don't, as long as you don't try to keep an undersized fish, they're not going to go after you for it. The reel on here is a Shimano Sedona 4000. It can take up to 160 yards of 12-pound line. It's a decent quality. Shimano, I believe, is a Japanese-built reel. Not good or bad, just I believe that's where they come from. I've been quite happy with this. Before I got the setup from Gelsma, this was by far and away my nicest setup. And it's still one of my top quality setups. That fish, that striper that hit, it was going about a 4 or 5 inch lure. It hit about 3-4 feet from the bank and right at some weeds. I thought it was a snag. That's right, because when it first hit, it didn't hit and run like a striper normally does. It just hit and held, so it just felt like a snag until, and I went to, pull the rod back to try to get it off the snag, and that's when the fish shook. And that's how I knew I had a fish on the line. So then just, I reeled down a bit and then just gave a pull and landed on the bank because it was so close. There was no fight to it. It was just set the hook and pull it. Which about 20 minutes after that, I lost that lure on some debris in the river. I'm kind of bummed out about that. But yeah, that's I was wondering if any of you have ever used Lamiglas and what you think of it, or if you've ever used the Sedona reels. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on those as well. This one, I cast lures with it. It's not doesn't cast quite as well. Buddy actually has a Shimano, I think it's a Shimano rod. His is 9.6, if I remember correctly, and it's a softer setup. It flicks lures a little better. but it's also soft enough he can't bait cast. He can't really bait fish with it. This one is stiff enough that it can do a little bit of light bait fishing, but not hardcore, so it doesn't cast lures quite as well. But so that's just kind of the various setups I use. I'd love to hear people's response. Tell me what you guys think of Lamiglas rods and Shimano reels. I'm still at the time of this filming, I'm still looking for a reel upgrade to put on my Gelsma Rodco rod. Gelsma Rodco suggested a Fluger in the between 20 and 30 range size wise. So that's what I've kind of been looking at. But if you guys fish, I'd love to hear your fishing stories. If you don't, that's okay too. If you have questions, ask them. I'll answer them if I can, or I'll suggest to someone who you can talk to that knows more than I do. Anyhow, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Talk to you next time. I'd like to thank everyone for stopping by the channel. If you want to see more of my content, I encourage you to check out my website, calaveras32special.com. Links below in the description. I also encourage you to check out gunchannels.com. Online, two-way community, set up and operated about 5 years ago at this point, by G-Webs, or Mr. Gun Websites. He is a avid activist for our two-way rights, so that's where I encourage you to stop by there, as well as his website, gearwebsites.com, where where a lot of his financing comes from, to help him fight for our rights. I hope you guys are willing to stop by both of those websites. Oh, and before I get on mine, I have my Spreadshirt store link and my Patreon link over there for anyone who is so inclined as to helping out the channel. Much appreciated. And anything I decide any money I get over there, I'll be putting back into the channel, and I'll be giving my patrons a chance to chime in as to what they think I should be using it on. I want to say again, thank you very much for stopping by. Have a wonderful night.